And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this 26th day of August 2021, streaming live to you from the studios at Brisbane, where the temperature has just gone 14 degrees. Yep, it's a little bit nippy, but looking out that window is just amazing and beautiful sunny day here in Brisbane. Well, right now, this is the first segment where we have the 9 a.m. news with the Daily India Report by PIO TV. And then at 10 a.m. we will be joined by Tanvi Goyal of Oz India Travel with the weekly travel updates. Well, for now, let's get into the segment and take a look at the local news first today, and then we'll bring to you the Daily India Report. We look at what's happening with Queensland borders. We're ready.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Queensland. Good morning to our Facebook Live followers as well. So in very good news today, it's a double donut day, so 0 cases. And in further good news, the 2 cases that reported yesterday that were under investigation have now been reclassified as not being cases. So we're very happy with that news as well. We have still 762 people who are still currently in home quarantine, and once again, thank you for doing the right thing. You're keeping Queenslanders safe. We have 37 active cases. We have had 12,760 tests in the past 24 hours. So that's once again really good news. And can I also thank Queenslanders for coming out and getting tested. If you have any symptoms whatsoever, please go and get a test. And yesterday, Queensland Health did 21,105 vaccines, which is excellent. So we now have 47% of Queenslanders have their first dose and 28.29 have their second dose. And I do encourage people to go and get vaccinated. Now today I want to talk a little bit about our hotel quarantine and the pressure that our hotel system is currently under. I had a thorough briefing yesterday from police and Dr Young and the Health Minister, and we are really concerned about the pressure that the hotel quarantine system is putting on our resources. So we have to change some of our policies, so there'll be a health directive that will be issued, and this is to sort this out as quickly as we possibly can. So as of yesterday, to give you an indication, we have 5,114 people currently in hotel quarantine. That's a lot of people. 3,257 are domestic arrivals. 1,857 are from overseas. These are all in 22 hotels. Between August the 9th and 20th, 2,750 people got border passes to relocate to Queensland. That includes 1,983 people in just 1 week. International arrivals are sometimes double, and we don't find out until the day. And we often don't know from day to day how many people are coming into Queensland from other states. They just turn up, they have their pass, and they just turn up, and then they're just needing hotel quarantine. So that means that we are scrambling for hotels. And this has got to stop. It's too much pressure. So we have to put a pause. It's putting our workers at risk, and it's also putting our community at risk as well. So starting from noon today, we are pausing arrivals into hotel quarantine for a period of 2 weeks. This is, of course, except for those people who are coming here that are exemptions, i.e. compassionate leave, or if they have medical procedures. Any of those exemptions, of course, we will find hotels for them. These are people who are relocating from other states. So we simply just do not have any room at the moment. We are reassessing, we are looking at other options, but Queensland is being loved to death. So we're asking people to understand we're putting on this pause. And then what this will mean is that people will have to reapply for these border passes, and then you will have to book into a hotel. So we will have the hotels available, and you will have to have a booking into a hotel before you come and relocate to Queensland. We want to make this as smooth as possible, But I think you can appreciate at the moment, not only are our hotels stretched, our staff are stretched, and this is becoming a risk scene for us, and we don't want to see Delta coming into our community. So we just need that 2 weeks pause, and then we will get the system up and running for people to do their bookings. And as I said, anyone who has those specific exemptions for bereavement, for medical procedures, of course, that will be treated as separate to this policy setting. Now, also too, can I also thank the Commonwealth? We've got the ADF coming today, so that's excellent. I'm advised 120 staff are coming along to assist with our borders, and that is, of course, excellent news. So I'll hand over to Dr Young and then the Health Minister and our Deputy Commissioner.
Thank you, Premier. So excellent news, no new cases in Queensland overnight, and those 2 cases yesterday, those 2 truck drivers, we've done further tests on and confirmed they are not cases, which is really good. But despite that, I would like to thank those 2 individuals and all of our other truck drivers who work and cross the borders every single day. These 2 individuals had done everything correctly, so I think even if they had have been cases, it would have been very low risk because of what they've been doing. So thank you to them, and thank you to all of our truck drivers. Now, the important thing going forward, of course, is vaccination. It is critical. We're getting more and more doses of vaccine available now, so anyone who hasn't booked yet to receive a vaccine, aged 16 through to 59, please do so. And anyone 60 years of age or older, please, if you haven't already been vaccinated, and over 80% have, but for those who haven't, it's critical that you see your GP and get vaccinated. If your GP is one of those very, very few GPs that can't provide the vaccine, they can assist you where to go and get vaccinated. That's critical. Thank you.
So I want to thank all of our staff who are working in our hotel quarantine, to the Queensland Police Service and the health workers. They've had to stand up a number of hotels very quickly to deal with these surges that we've seen as Victoria, ACT and New South Wales cases grow. And again, I just comment that the most recent data out of New South Wales, their cluster has grown to 13,765. On top of that, Victoria's 522 and the ACT 167. So when you look at the increasing number of cases involving those clusters all originating out of New South Wales, we are seeing a lot of people wanting to relocate to Queensland. We understand that. It's a beautiful state. Why wouldn't you want to live here? But we just need a pause on that. About 85% of the people who have come under right of entry passes over the last 2 weeks of domestic travel are simply relocating to Queensland. So we do need to put this pause in place. What it means is anyone who's not already on a flight at midday will not be able to arrive simply on a right of entry pass. Everybody who's got a right of entry pass, who's a Queensland resident or is seeking to relocate, will need to reapply for their pass, and over the next fortnight we will then issue passes, but we will be allocating a time period that people will be able to arrive in Queensland. This will help us manage room capacity much better by knowing how many people are arriving and when, so we can make sure there's a room allocated to them. What this will also allow is over the next fortnight, it will ease capacity so that those who have exemptions already approved and apply for exemptions for compassionate reasons, end-of-life visits, attending funerals, that they're going to have rooms available for them. So it's really important that we've made sure we can provide for those people over the next fortnight. We'll have more information online as to how people will be able to apply for these passes and process going forward. Fantastic vaccination numbers, our highest rate of vaccination per day that we saw yesterday, 21,105. So thank you to everyone coming out and getting vaccinated. We want to see those numbers continue to grow. We want more people coming out and getting vaccinated, not just here in South East Queensland, but in our regions as well. As I said yesterday, we don't want to hit that 80% target just in South East Queensland. We want 80% of our population fully vaccinated and higher, as the Premier said. Let's go for the same rate as we do with child immunisation, 95%. Let's see everyone getting vaccinated, but we want everyone, everywhere in Queensland fully vaccinated as quickly as possible. So come forward, register with Queensland Health to get vaccinated. Alternatively, book in with your GP or either walk in or book in with your community pharmacy. You can find all of those local vaccination hubs on the Queensland COVID website. So please jump online today. Don't wait. It is about keeping you safe. It's about keeping your loved ones and the community safe and helping Queensland open up quicker. Thank you.
Good morning. Overnight, on our road borders, we processed 5,397 vehicles, made up of 3,296 cars and 2,101 heavy vehicles. Unfortunately, we had to turn away 211 of those vehicles and heavy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will join that report later on. And welcome to the show once again, JP Sorisab. And, if he could, he would like to donate extra Pfizer so that, we could all... Well, by the way, I am having my second jab today. Yes. It's finally the 12-week period's over, and my second jab, of IZ at 11:45 today. So... yeah, doing the right thing and getting in it. Well, right now, let's take a look at what's happening in ICT.
The news of 9 new COVID cases came with a message of caution.
A day of single-digit numbers is not a trend, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have double-digit again tomorrow.
Plus, confirmation the lockdown won't be ending early.
The lockdown will not be ending before the 2nd of September.
The outbreak has now grown to 176 cases. Of the 9 new infections, 8 can be linked, and 3 were in quarantine for their entire infectious period.
7 people are now hospitalised and 1 person remains in intensive care in critical condition.
The number of sites where transmission has occurred has jumped to 10. The CIT campus in Reid has joined the list with 2 linked cases. The Bright Bees cluster has also seen a spike from 3 cases yesterday to 10 today. And it's both children and adults who are infected with COVID-19.
What I can say is that we're not seeing any severe disease among children up to this date, and that has been the national picture.
The cluster in the disability sector has also climbed to 15, with another person living with disability testing positive.
I urge people in our community who are living with disability who have questions or concerns to discuss these with their service providers, and/or they can call the COVID-19 helpline.
Each day at the podium, the Chief Minister has delivered the same message: to get vaccinated. And Canberrans have certainly been doing as they're told, with a record number of doses administered yesterday.
Around 2,000.
So if you can look across the nation, people are doing the right thing and getting vaccinated. The numbers are increasing. And as the Prime Minister mentioned, that we need to get to that 70% and we're moving forward to the next stage. Well, right now, there's question time with the Premier.
Well, the 2 weeks will definitely ease the pressure, but also we're helping the Commonwealth out at the moment too in terms of the relocation of people from Afghanistan. So we're getting calls about needing extra capacity to cope with that. So we're just being stretched. We're just being stretched to the limit. So this 2 weeks will ease it all down, and then people will have to book, reapply for their pass and book. But, we also want to make sure that the system is running smoothly. So we believe that by putting these measures in place, this was put to me by Police and Health. They came to me with this proposal, and we went through it in detail, and I've accepted it because it impacts on their resources, all the work that they have to do. Managing quarantine is a big job, and to have over 5,700 people in quarantine is extremely large. It's the largest we've been at.
Is it a bit rough on those Queenslanders though interstate trying to get home?
Look, they'll still be able to come home. We're just having this pause for 2 weeks, and then they just have to book the hotels, and they'll still be able to come home. I want them to come home. If people want to relocate here, I want them to relocate here, but we just got to do it in a sensible and orderly fashion.
So for the 2 weeks, our borders are closed, and when we look at the way Queensland's managed the rollout so far, in collaboration with the Commonwealth Government, I think it's amazing work that's been done there. But right now, the tracking of these numbers and how are these vaccine rollouts and how's the tracking going nationally?
Let's check in on the progress of the vaccine rollout in Australia. More than 307,000 immunisations were delivered around the country in the latest reporting period, just shy of the national record of 310,000. More than 17.7 million vaccinations have been administered since the beginning of the rollout, and more than 1.8 million of those were in the last week. 54.4% of the population over the age of 16 has had one dose, while 31.6% of Australians are fully immunised. Turning to the outlook across the states and territories, where New South Wales is now leading the nation in administering first jabs. 61.5% of people in New South Wales have gotten their first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, and 33% have both doses. New South Wales is closely followed by the ACT as the only other jurisdiction with more than 60% single-dose coverage. Queensland and Western Australia are now the only jurisdictions with the majority of their populations having received no doses of a vaccine, after South Australia reached the 50% first dose mark today. Every state and territory now has at least 28% of their citizens fully vaccinated.
So that is good news, looking at that percentage. Well, yesterday we had the real estate update with Usha Chandra, and of course, following that trend and looking at the property prices and everything, people say, in pandemic it might go down. If you think property prices are going to go down, think again.
The Delta variant and current lockdowns are unlikely to derail strength in the housing market, according to the latest research from ANZ, which is forecasting average capital city house prices to rise just over 20% in 2021 before moderating in 2022. Canberra, Hobart and Sydney are tipped to rise the most as investor lending surges more than 50%. Perth is expecting around half the growth of its East Coast counterparts. Felicity Emmett, ANZ senior economist, explains the numbers.
So we will look at those numbers next week with Usha Chandra of Globe Net Realty, but the trend there is that it is going upwards, and Brisbane is predicted to go by 21%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time now to join with our counterparts in Delhi. As we know, our collaboration with PIO TV, with the Gupta family, and doing wonders. So right now it is time to go to the Daily India report for today.
Welcome to the Daily India report that brings you glimpses of the changing India and the growing engagement of the Indian diaspora with India. In our first story, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin have agreed to create a permanent bilateral channel for close consultation and coordinated efforts on Afghanistan. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin on 24th August backed coordinated efforts to establish peace and stability in Afghanistan to ensure security across the region. In a telephonic conversation, the two leaders discussed the situation in Afghanistan following the takeover of the country by the Taliban on 15th August. The Russian embassy said the two leaders agreed to form a permanent bilateral channel for consultations on Afghanistan. The call is the first major outreach on Afghanistan from the top Russian leadership in recent months, and the two sides said they agreed for close consultations. Prime Minister Modi tweeted that he had a useful exchange with friend President Putin on Afghanistan and India-Russia cooperation against COVID-19. The two leaders also underlined enhancing cooperation on countering the dissemination of the terrorist ideology and the drug threat emanating from the territory of Afghanistan. Modi expressed gratitude to Putin for Russia's assistance in combating COVID-19, including the supply and production of the Russian vaccine Sputnik V in India and the shipment of medicines and medical equipment. Sikhs in Afghanistan feel threatened under the Taliban. They reflect on how Sikhism predates the reign of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. With the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, the history of the Sikh community in the country is feeling threatened. On 23rd August, the 46 evacuated Afghan Sikhs carried with them 3 of the 6 remaining Swaroop of the Guru Granth Sahib to India. The history of Sikhism in medieval Afghanistan begins with the founder of the Sikh religion, Guru Nanak, known to have visited the region sometime in the 15th century. Kabul, in fact, was one of the provinces of Mughal Emperor Babur, who ruled North India. There were also several instances when Sikhs from East Punjab went over to Afghanistan to spread the teachings of the Sikh Gurus. They are now hopeful that with the passage of the Citizenship Amendment Act by the Indian government, it would be easier for them to get entry and citizenship in India. World's top real estate consulting firm says India has emerged as the number 2 destination in the world for manufacturing. India has overtaken the USA to become the second most sought after manufacturing destination globally, driven mostly by cost competitiveness. Real estate consultant Cushman and Wakefield's 2021 Global Manufacturing Risk Index has assessed the most advantageous locations for global manufacturing among 47 countries in Europe, the Americas and Asia Pacific. In last year's report, the US was in the second position while India ranked third. The consultant said that this indicates the growing interest shown by manufacturers in India as a preferred manufacturing hub over other countries, including the US and those in the APAC region. Attention to India is due to operating conditions and cost competitiveness, as well as the country's proven success in meeting outsourcing requirements. The baseline ranking for top manufacturing destinations is determined on the basis of a country's operating conditions and cost effectiveness. The Reserve Bank of India has rejected the request of e-commerce companies to store payment information by merchants and aggregators. India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, has rejected the request from major e-commerce companies and refused to change its guidelines on the data storage policies. It rejected the proposal made by payment gateway companies with regard to the new regulation that might kick in from January of 2022. The revised regulations prevent payment aggregators and merchants like Amazon, Flipkart and Netflix from storing the information of a customer's card on their servers or databases. The bank acts as an important liaison between the customer and the aggregators. The new change also means that customers with debit cards or credit cards will need to punch in their 16-digit card number every time they proceed to make a transaction. This will definitely slow down the convenience of it all, but the aim of this change was to secure the card information and make sure that payment operators are not storing the data on the system. E-commerce payment model works on data that is stored. These companies use this data to market new items to customer demographics based on the information they have. With more security lengthening the process of checkout or transaction, UPI might become the more favored method of payment. The Indian High Commission in Guyana celebrated Raksha Bandhan as female staff of the Indian High Commission tied Rakhi to the President of Guyana. The festival of Raksha Bandhan, a traditional ceremony which is influenced by the Hindu culture. Sisters tie a talisman or amulet called the Rakhi around the wrists of their brothers, symbolically protecting them, traditionally investing the brothers with a share of the responsibility of their potential care. In furtherance of this ritual or tradition that has risen above religion, we bring you an instance of female members of the High Commission of India in Guyana wrapping a Rakhi on the wrist of His Excellency, the President of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali. President Ali is a person of Indian origin and represents a long lineage of Indians who were taken to the Caribbean and South America as indentured labourers. Separately, the consul in Edinburgh, UK, and his spouse participated in the Raksha Bandhan celebration in Dundee. The traditional Rakhi, a symbol of friendship and respect, was tied on the police, defence and fire service personnel of Dundee. WHO chief scientist says India may be out of the epidemic stage of COVID-19 and may be entering into an epidemicity stage. After a severe second wave of COVID-19 infection in India, the virus in India might be entering some kind of stage of endemicity where there is a low or moderate level of transmission going on. The chief scientist of the World Health Organization, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, in a report points to the size of India and heterogeneity of population and immunity status in different parts of the country. Dr. Swaminathan says it was very feasible that the situation may continue as such with ups and downs in various parts of the nation. The endemic stage is when a population learns to live with a virus. It's very different from the epidemic stage when the virus overwhelms a population. Swaminathan said India is not seeking the kinds of exponential growth and peaks like a few months ago. She hopes that by the end of 2022 vaccine coverage would be at 70% and then countries can get back to normal. She also said that it will be impossible to predict if, when and where the third wave will emerge. However, one can make an educated guess on some of the variables that have an impact on transmission. Indian drug regulator has approved the world's first COVID-19 DNA vaccine made in India by Zydus Cadila and Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. Drug Controller General of India has granted emergency use approval for Zydus Cadila's COVID-19 vaccine. It is the world's first DNA shot against COVID-19 in adults and children aged 12 years and above. The approval will boost India's vaccination drive and hopefully help the government achieve inoculation for all eligible adults by December 2021. It will be the first shot for those under 18 as the country still struggles to contain the virus spread in some states. The vaccine, ZyCoV-D, uses a section of genetic material from the virus that gives instructions as either DNA or RNA to make a specific protein that the immune system recognizes and responds to. ZyCoV-D is administered in 3 doses. Bollywood is ready to release a horror comedy. Going by the trailer, Bhoot Police starring Saif Ali Khan and Arjun Kapoor should be a fun flick. Bollywood fans will soon be treated to a horror comedy called Bhoot Police. The trailer of the film is out. Producers would like to say that lead stars Saif Ali Khan and Arjun Kapoor play ghost hunters. But the trailer doesn't really show that. Instead, Saif is seen as a fake Baba Vibhuti who will any day take sex and booze over catching ghosts. Arjun's character Chiranji goes by the book which he calls Baba Ki Kitab to ward off the forces of the supernatural.
हम तांत्रिक मनुष्य की रक्षा करने का जिम्मा मिला है बाबा की पावन किताब है हमारे पास अबे एम्ब्रॉयडरी के डिजाइन है ये और कुछ नहीं ये सिर्फ हमारा बिजनेस है असली भूत प्रेत नहीं होते
Lead female actors Jacqueline Fernandez playing Kanika and Yami Gautam playing Maya make up the quartet. Pawan Kriplani has helmed the film. If the blend is horror and comedy, Bhoot Police gets the formula right. The trailer does show the grand production design. Given that the film was initially planned for a theatrical spectacle, its scale is impressive. The eerie background score, the fantastic effects that look gorier and less caricaturist could make the vulnerable jump in their seats. Bhoot Police was scheduled for a theatrical release on September 10th, But the producers are now set with a digital release on Disney Plus Hotstar on 17th September. That's all for this bulletin of Daily India Report. Thank you for watching.
And thank you very much, Ankita, all the way there from the Delhi. So that's been the news update for today. Well, right now, let's take a look at some of the functions and events taking place, and we'll talk about all of them. So this here is the Diwali. Of course, let's go back from the very beginning. Nritya Bharati School of Kathak Arpan. This is happening on the 4th of September. And then we go to Benio Diwali, which is taking place on Saturday, the 30th of October. And of course, BSK 9th Annual Cup is undergoing now every Sundays. And the Federation of Indian Communities of Queensland, their Diwali, which will be on 5th of November. And then we have India Day Fair on 23rd of October. A lot of time for people to plan, and hopefully by then we would be over these restrictions and the lockdowns. Krishna Janmashtami, Tuesday 31st, and of course ISKCON is inviting everyone to take advantage of their home visit. So, you can invite Krishna to your very home. And of course, the Kairali function is taking place on 11th of September. And Sri Lakshmi Narayan Mandir, Bhagavad Katha from 24th it has begun, and it will go on till the 29th of August, 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. Is Katha, Aarti and Prasadam. Sri Krishna Janam celebration will be on Monday 30th, 6 p.m. till midnight. And Sukhno Bhavantu, this is the annual concert of Lalita School of Bharatnatyam, and of course this has been a postponed event. It will now be taking place on Saturday, the 28th. Bullerwood, the dinner and dance for Fiji Indians and the Fiji Indo-Fusion will be taking place on 4th of September at Unides Community Conference Centre. And then Sangeet Premi Club presents an interfaith music festival, Bhajan, Kirtan, Sufi, Chahar, Qawwali and devotional music and dance. This was a postponed event once again, 5 p.m. till 10 p.m. on Saturday, the 9th of October. A presentation of Sangeet Premi Club. And the Multicultural Festival Sontam at 108 to 112 Middle Road in Hillcrest, and of course that's taking place this Saturday as well. And the Grand Musical Night by Sargam Music, so Mithun and Bondita Chakrabarti putting this together, and once again this has been a postponed event now on the 13th of November. Sri Vishnu Maya Mandir Sri Krishna Janmashtami is happening now by His Holiness Dharam Guru Pandit Tripathi Ji. It has begun from Monday the 23rd and will finish on Monday the 30th of August. The timings are Monday to Friday 6:30 p.m. onwards, and Saturday and Sunday 5:30 p.m. onwards. Sri Krishna Ji ka Janam and Utsav will be 8 p.m. on Monday the 30th, and celebrated with Kirtan, Sohar, Garba, Bhog, Aarti and Mahaprasad. For food sponsorship, you can contact Devika Maharaj. And Janamashtami by Sri Selva Vinayakar Temple will be on the 29th of August from 10:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m., which is at the Mount Lindsay Highway 4915. Simply Human, and their new date for the Superheroes Without Capes is now the 9th of October, still at the same venue, Sunpack. And if you had previously bought the tickets, your tickets would be still valid. And if you haven't, you might still have a chance to get a ticket. Well, right now, an evening of soulful music. This is raising funds for COVID-19 relief in India. The classics and classicals, a beautiful program of songs of Indian cinema based on ragas. And that is taking place on this 28th August, 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. at Unides Community Centre in Ulawang. So for further information, you can contact Sachin. Well, right now, before we finish off for today, I'd like to just quickly touch on another beautiful event that would be taking place, and that is Sri Krishna Janmashtami, and it will be celebrated online. So, with that online celebration, it is wonderful that, if you can join in to that.
Sambhavami yuge yuge.
Celebrate Virtual Janmashtami 2021 with Divyajyoti Jagati Sansthan. Know the true essence of Sri Krishna Leelas through dance ballets and spiritual bites. Watch special webcast on DJJS YouTube channel 30th August 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. Subscribe to DJJS World on YouTube now.
So, ladies and gentlemen, in this segment, that's about all we have for you today. It's been wonderful having your company. As we can see, there's lots of things that are happening already out there, and we'd like to bring to you all the events that we can. Next up at 10 a.m. will be the weekly travel updates with Tanvi Goyal of Oz India. Until then, it's goodbye from me. It's been wonderful having your company as usual.